We must awaken now. This is our last chance before an artificial intelligence takeover. We need to stay on our ascension path. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I help people to navigate their spiritual awakening so they can embark on a conscious path of ascension. And if you're new, I'm so happy you're here. Make sure to click that subscribe button so you can join our awesome community of lightworkers and spiritual seekers. Now, I have some fascinating information for you guys today. We're going to peel away more of the illusion and see all the things that are happening behind the scenes. The best way to stay on your path of ascension and awakening is to have the information that will give you the clearest insight about what is going on our planet. And that's what I'm about to give you guys. So let's dive in. The biggest story that is happening before our very eyes, and the one that we most ignore, is the complete and total takeover by an AI consciousness. Now, AI is not merely some technological form of advancement. AI is actually a cosmic parasitic energy that has completely enveloped our planet for thousands of years. AI is a serious nuisance in the universe, and the higher beings in this galaxy do not appreciate seeing this thing take over. Now, here's an interesting little story. As you may know, I've been channeling Archangel Michael for many years. One day, a long time ago, he said the following to me. He said, "You know, it's one thing to create an android from scratch, but it's quite another to create an android from a human being." Now that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Now, Archangel Michael has been working in conjunction with Telstar to address this problem for as long as I have been channeling them. They originally referred to the AI takeover as the establishment of an alien artificial kingdom here on Earth. So guys, they've been warning about this for decades. Archangel Michael's chief concerns about this planet are about the existence of fear, which of course he's very well known for, but also about this AI takeover. Now, interestingly enough, fear and the reptile controllers go hand in hand. And these reptile controllers also function in service to their AI god. Do you see how it's all starting to connect? The way that AI advances once it takes over a planet is through multiple eras of its own evolution and development. Now, you can look at each era as a matrix or as a timeline. In this year of 2020, we have been literally jolted out of one AI matrix or timeline into another one altogether. And that's what I want to talk about today so that you fully understand what is going on. Now, if you look at our reality in a linear way, you will see this as a timeline. And if you look at our reality in a holistic way, you can then view it as a matrix. So let's start by looking at time in a broader way instead of only referencing clocks and calendars. So I want to explain 3 of the most recent timelines and matrices related to AI and our planet. The first recent matrix or era was about building the infrastructure for the AI consciousness. And this has gone on for around 200 years or so, and mostly consisted of the Industrial Revolution and beyond on both sides of that era. This was the most recent period when we were used as slaves to build the AI's planetary body or infrastructure. That's what this artificial anti-nature technology is all about, that's destroying the planetary environment. This is the matrix that instituted what I call our conveyor belt lifestyle. We were told to go to school, get a job and work, produce and raise offspring, and then retire and die. Whatever you were doing during this era was designed to serve the building of this AI infrastructure in one form or another. And if you weren't involved in directly building the infrastructure, you were likely doing something in service to the slaves who were building it so they could continue with their work. Things like providing recreation, entertainment, clothing, goods, food, healthcare, etc. for all the other slaves. And that is the matrix that just got blown up this year in 2020. So we are in a new matrix now. This is the second one of the three that I wanted to mention. I call it the matrix of preparation and transition. When you shift so suddenly into a new matrix, which is what we are experiencing now, it can be truly shocking and surreal. That's why things seem so bizarre today, because a jolt to a new timeline at this level can be quite jarring and traumatic. This new matrix is where human consciousness is being prepared to make its final transfer into an AI universe. The previous matrix with our conveyor belt lifestyle is no longer needed. And that's where you're going to see some major changes taking place in terms of how we live our lives. This is why they keep saying there's no going back to where we were only a few short months ago. It's over. That matrix is being retired. So you might as well pretend that somebody set fire to that previous timeline because it's literally gone. Now, the third and final matrix has not been put in place yet. That one consists of the total transfer and takeover of human consciousness into an AI planetary environment that literally surrounds the planet. This is the kind of takeover that can completely destroy a planet and its beautiful biosphere. This is where we don't want to go, you guys. Because getting out of that could take eons and eons of time and be extremely difficult. And believe me, you all, you don't want your soul being transferred into such a state. Now, I want to talk to you guys specifically about this current new AI matrix that we have just been forced into. So you can see some of the ways that the controllers are so clever in terms of how they manage us. Are you ready? Let's start with the concept of taking a knee for social justice. I think this started a few years ago, but did anyone pay attention to what just happened a few weeks ago when George Floyd was horrifically murdered on camera? I still can't believe that even happened. What happened is that the murderer literally took a knee on poor George's neck and killed him. This actually turned the idea of taking a knee into a satanic death ritual, which is why it seemed like a ritual killing, because I think it was. So the original meaning of taking a knee was unconsciously changed through the collective trauma of witnessing this horrible event. And that trauma is now deeply embedded into our collective subconscious because we all saw that video played thousands and thousands and thousands of times over. But we humans didn't figure this out. We were still operating on the original meaning of take a knee, which was showing support for social justice. So then we had scene after scene and ritual after ritual of white people, police, and politicians taking a knee in front of the Black community. And no one seemed to realize that what they were doing was a ritualistic affirmation of what the murderer did to George. And then the satanic meaning of this collective ritual was even more deeply embedded by the fact that the time spent taking a knee was the exact amount of time that the murderer took a knee on poor George's neck. Guys, are we humans so lost that we don't even recognize a clearly sadistic, satanic ritual affirmation. We were literally being led to genuflect at the specific action of the murderer. Now stay with me, because these off-world controllers are very clever and they know how to weave all sorts of things into our subconscious mind without our knowledge. That's because they literally set us up to have most of our minds operate at subconscious levels through DNA manipulation. So they know how this works. It was designed to work for their benefit, not ours. And by the way, do you really think we're supposed to have a subconscious mind? They did this so we would only be partly conscious at a linear, one-dimensional level. Guys, think about this. We're not supposed to have to write thousands of affirmations on Post-it notes and put them all over our house to get something embedded in our subconscious mind so that we can manifest something. I mean, that's ridiculous. Now, would you like to know one of the most clever things they have done? This part's so good, you guys. Without us realizing it, they very cleverly expanded the meaning of the word racism. Think about all of the weird things we've been told are racist over the past few years. Things like inanimate objects, roads, buildings, professions, all kinds of things that in truth are not related to skin at all. And we just absorb it all like a sponge. Now, why would they do this? Oh, they're so clever, you guys. They wanted to enlist our energy and our cooperation in the destruction of the previous matrix. Here's what I mean. We've already been programmed for several years now that literally anything can be labeled racist. There's absolutely nothing off limits. Then they traumatize us with this horrible ritualistic murder, which was certainly racist for real, and it was intended to be that. So now we subconsciously associate anything labeled racist with the trauma of this awful murder. And therefore, anything labeled racist is so instantly abhorrent that it must be immediately destroyed, because it reopens that painful trauma wound for everyone. Do you remember that I told you guys in another video that trauma is often used in mind control? So now they can point to anything at all and call it racist, and we will immediately agree to its destruction. You see, they know exactly how to create specific associations to get us to do exactly what they want. This is one of the ways they are using to get us to destroy the previous matrix. Now remember, you guys, this is all coming from the off-world controllers. This is not sourced in our humanity. Now let's talk about the virus. The virus is playing a huge role in the creation of the new matrix. Now, a lot of people are suspicious of the virus. I don't think they're necessarily suspicious of its existence. I think it's more about being suspicious of the extreme and apparently permanent reaction to it. Why would you tear down an entire planetary civilization? Because there's a virus in the world. We never did this before for any other disease, no matter how serious it was. Now, what does a virus do? It's a microscopic parasitic organism that needs a host in order to reproduce. A virus basically inserts its genetic material into a host cell and then takes over that cell's function in favor of itself. From here, it replicates itself, makes the human host sick, and sometimes even kills the host. Now, we understand all of this, right? But here's what we don't understand. AI is a cosmic virus. It is parasitic by nature because it does not have the power to reproduce on its own. So just like the biologically oriented viruses that we are familiar with, AI can be viewed as a cosmic virus that infects an entire planetary host. Once it gains a foothold, it takes over the functions of certain aspects of that planet in order to replicate itself and expand its presence throughout an entire galaxy. In the process of doing this, it can make the planetary host very sick. So here's the funny thing, you guys. They have been telling us that this lockdown and everything that goes along with it is because of a virus. They're just not telling you which virus it is. Now, I'm not going to be able to put everything there is to know into this short video. I just want to give you guys some things to contemplate, because we have an awful lot that we need to consciously begin to digest in a very short period of time. So let's just take things one step at a time. And let me point out one more thing about the masks. The mask is hugely symbolic. The masks suppress our ability to breathe. Breath is your life force energy. It's the force that holds you in your body in an incarnated state. Did you notice how they took the phrase, "I can't breathe," from poor George's horrific murder and used it to symbolize righteousness, justice, and caring? But George Floyd's life force was extinguished by Mr. Take a Knee on his neck. Put that together with the fact that we are forced to wear these masks that inhibit our ability to breathe. But psychologically, we have the phrase, "I can't breathe," associated with support for George. And showing support for him is, of course, positive, right? Now, if we humans had our survival instincts intact, which we clearly don't, we would know that "I can't breathe" is a very bad, life-threatening thing to say. Instead, when we wear the mask and notice that we have a difficult time breathing, we have a subconscious association that this is a good thing because it indicates righteousness and positive support. So now we have this totally subconscious trauma reinforcing why it's okay to suppress your breathing by covering your nose and mouth. So good luck getting anyone to care if you can't breathe with a mask on. And here's a little interesting fact about social distancing. I read somewhere that there is a type of human tracking technology that only works if people are at least 5 feet or more apart. Because if people are too close together, the AI can't tell if it's one person or a bunch of people. Gives all those circles and lines that divide us a whole new meaning. So let's put this together. We're being trained to keep a certain distance from each other, which by some weird coincidence also matches the needs of an AI tracking technology. Our breath and our life force are being stifled, which makes sense because at some point in an AI body, you won't need to be breathing anymore. So we're being conditioned to believe that your breath is not as important as it once was. Therefore, it's okay to start shutting it down. You won't be needing it anyway once you exist in a digitized AI format. And it's okay to have your mouth covered because you won't be having a voice in anything once the AI God rules the world, because your thoughts and actions will be completely controlled by the AI brain. And what about those thousands of satellites being launched, just ready to beam God knows what onto our planet? It's all very interesting. So my main point is that these are just some more examples of how the off-world controllers are able to navigate their control of us through multiple layers of reality, which we can't see because we only know how to perceive in a one-dimensional linear fashion on a conscious level. Anyway, I'll leave you guys with this thought for today. Consider the fact that you have a subconscious and an unconscious mind which comprise the majority of your brain's functions. Think about the fact that you really don't have any conscious access to it. And yet, this subconscious mind can be easily programmed by outside forces without you knowing it. It's called subliminal programming. Does something about that seem not quite right to you? Now that is something very interesting to contemplate. Okay, so that's probably enough for today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it out with your friends. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I am here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday with new videos. With that, I'm sending you love, light, and loads of positive energy. I'll talk to you guys next time. Namaste, everyone.